This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gartner.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today, we have another good neighbor on, Sean Preston with Best Version Media and the Good Neighbor Podcast. Sean, how are you today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Still working on my first coffee, but we're getting through it. So
beautiful.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Pumped to have you on the show, man. Let's get right into it before I start peppering you with my own questions, as this is a unique show today, as Sean is my co-host and helps make all of this beautiful stuff happen. But we're going to dive into his story a little bit. So Sean, tell us about your business. What is it you do?
Yeah, so we specialize in helping local small and medium-sized businesses gain more exposure in a hyper-local market. We do that through what we call the sponsorship side of branding. Say one of the best ways to get your message out. It's the most welcoming message to consumers, where you're not asking for the business. You're there in a very kind of trusted source, in a very trusted way. And I would give them that exposure to help them grow their business.
Beautiful, man. You do anything outside of that?
For the last year, not so much, but a little bit more free time these days. So you have your weekends to have your fun and socialize with friends and play hockey on Sundays and that type of thing. So
beautiful. We'll dive into that a little bit more. So this is what I'm really interested about, because for the people who don't know, Sean and I have known each other for a little while now, have grown close. I've watched him start to where he's come now. I've had the privilege of witnessing that, and it's been a hell of a journey. I don't want to spoil it. So why did you get into this? Why do you help local businesses get more exposure? How did you get into this business of message spreading, essentially?
I kind of fell into it. I was working out in the room just outside the door, and my sister was living with me at the time. She's a business owner, and she had our coworker Melanie come in, and she went into the Springwater magazine as an expert. And then she came running into the room after I was just finishing up, and she's like, "I just went into a magazine." And I'm like, "Are you crazy?" she's like, "Hey, I think it's a really good opportunity for you." And I'm like, "It's a magazine. It's old print that died along. No way."
Yeah.
And I shelved it for like 2 weeks, and she was thankfully persistent on me. And it wasn't until I got educated on the actual concept of it being user-generated content with the family on the front cover and all the goodwill that the magazine does, let alone for the business owners, but for the actual community, and the fact that it goes out to the Ardagh Bluffs, and I grew up there for 15 years. It's my old stomping grounds, and I live 5 minutes to the north of there. It's a place I call home. So, once I really kind of understood the concept, that's when Melanie hooked me up on the phone with you, and then we started that journey together.
And what a journey it has been. So something that I'm really interested about, as again, people don't know what they don't know. We know this business is difficult. There's a lot of tough days, to say the least, as any entrepreneur. Really, work is tough in general. So I'm not saying entrepreneurs over employees, but from our perspective, our experience, it has been a challenging one. So something that I'm really interested about is why continue to go through what I call is like the phase of suck. I think any new hard skill that you're trying to develop has a phase of suck. And a lot of us don't get through it. Working out, love relationships, starting a business. We all have great ideas. Not all of them are executed. And you have been, your rise has been staggering to watch. So not only did you sit in that phase of suck, but you excelled, which was very impressive to see. What's the why behind that? Like, are you just a hard worker by nature? Are you just super competitive? Or was there something else here in this space of doing what you do every day that maybe you ended up loving to do? What's the story?
Well, both of those, I have both of those quality traits, but I think it stems from losing everything that I had, right? I had 9 years in the automotive business, doing automotive marketing. And I watched everything I built, for 9 total years just kind of crumble to the ground. I started off as just, one guy, and then worked my way after 3 years to become a sales director, and then leading a sales team and opening up and developing new markets in Ottawa and Atlantic Canada, hiring 42 vet management staff, managing them, doing the schedule. We were rocking. I remember what it was like to try to do $1 million in 1 year. And right before COVID, we hit the $1 million mark in the month of March. We were ready to take over the world. And then COVID, obviously everybody knows what that did. And then I just watched it like crash and burn. So, having everything to then having nothing. And then, I always wanted to be a business owner. I just couldn't find that opportunity. It just somehow fell in my lap, which was awesome. So for those who believe in the universe takes care of itself, I definitely am a true believer in that. And then, when you get that opportunity, I don't want to go do anything else. I don't want to go back and work in the corporate world and have some tell me what to do. And my long tenure history of being bullied. So, I get to kind of control that, my own destiny. So, then you gotta put in the work to build it. Right. So, and then, hard work pays off.
It does. I love it, man. Okay. So I could probably talk about this question all day since we do the same work, because it happens to us all day. So we are quite prepared for this question, but I don't know everything that's going on in your head. So I'd love to hear your take. What are some common myths and misconceptions you hear about the products and services we provide?
I think most of it's a lack of understanding, to be honest. A lot of small, medium-sized businesses know about marketing. They're really good at what they do for good reason, because they're amazing at it. But a lot of the marketing and advertising kind of side, it's a big gray area, and some have a really solid understanding. Some have learned it, kind of through the streets type of thing, right? They just learn it on their own. They fail and they do it again. They fail and they do it again. And, that's kind of a little bit about it, but, if you're a business owner and you haven't done it or haven't explored it, it's, you got to find the right person who understands what they're talking about. That's kind of like the main thing, but educate yourself. I mean, there's a load of resources and places that you can go out and get like a general, concept and understanding of it. But if people have a better understanding of it, because it works, and I think most people know that it works, but people are scared to make the wrong decision. And so then they make inaction. And we all know that hope's not a strategy. So that's where things start to unravel. Well, I can only do it through word of mouth, and you can, but it's a very slippery slope, trusting your message in strangers.
Yeah, I think you said it so well there. I think they all know that it works, but they're afraid of making the wrong decision. That goes for like most things in my life. I only want to do a handful of things and try to get decently well and get some fulfillment out of only a few things rather than a million things. So if I'm only going to do 4 or 5 things that take up the majority of my life, I would hope that those would be decent decisions, because that's a big commitment, like marketing is. And it all comes down to, as you said, just lack of information. So you get good educators out there. That's one of the whole reasons to doing what we're doing right now, is really educating people to increase the quality of their lives. So I love that. Now, this I'm probably going to love even more. What do you do for fun, Sean, outside of business? What do you do for fun?
I love having fun.
I know you do.
If you can't have fun, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I like a lot of stuff. I like a lot of outdoor stuff, especially in the summertime, getting out on a boat and doing some fishing. I like camping in the middle of nowhere. I like going out and backcountry camping. So, you have your tent and everything on your back. But I also like to do, some people call it glamping, where you bring your car out and you pick a little spot, but anywhere out in the, when you can get out in nature, being outside, big outdoors person. And I'm a big sports fan. I love big hockey fan. I will keep my favorite hockey team nameless, because it's been
Probably the best bet.
Long years of turmoil and disgust. But anyways, love them nonetheless, because I'm too loyal to my own fault. I like volleyball, love golf. Those are my three kind of favorite sports to play. But anything sports related, football. My girlfriend's big into football, so she sucked me into that. That wasn't hard. It's a great sport, and I'm a bit of a nerd as well too, and I'm competitive. So any type of game, lawn game, board game, card game, video game, doesn't matter. If I can be competitive in it, great. And if it's a little bit more relaxed, something. I think video games. I like to play video games that make me shut my brain off. Sometimes you get home from work and when you're a business owner, you understand you've got all of these different things, can't always accomplish them during the day, so you have to work later when you're back, and supper, feed the kids, all this stuff, right? And I think it's a good way to turn off the brain. And then I like to party a little bit, so that's always it's always fun. Get on the dartboard and have some friends over, and just have some good conversation, sit by a fire, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. And something that you didn't bring up, because you're a humble guy, it's definitely one of the character traits that I admire in you most, is I have been lucky enough to be hosted by this fine gentleman a number of times. I didn't know what to expect at the beginning. I'm like, who knew there was this hidden 5-star chef in there, killer business person, gamer, and he's a hell of a chef. I go over to his place and it's this beautiful dinner, wine, the mood's set, everything. And I'm just, I got my, fitness food in a Tupperware that I'm about to microwave. That's the life that I live. And it's just been a great time hanging out with you, man. You are a hell of a host. Something we really like talking about on the show, as you know, this is kind of my speed. I really like getting into these deeper conversations. We talk about hard things on this show. I think hard things get talked about more now than they did before. Our life challenges, our struggles, our failures, however you want to define that word. And I'm really happy about that. And I like that we are a part of bringing real human beings' challenges to the forefront, because I think that's where an extreme amount of value is, rather than just putting out the perfect parts of our life, because life isn't perfect. It's not always rosy. And I'm thankful for that, because through those challenges, I think we get better. And I think there is a great feeling personally when you've grown from something and gotten better. So I would ask you to share with the audience some hardships or trials and tribulations that you've had to face. Probably sucked in the moment. We get that feeling of this does not feel good right now. But you grinded through it for whatever reason, and you can look back and you say, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be who I am today. It's made me better. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I briefly touched on it earlier, but that was when I call it a fall from grace. Very humbling experience,
in business.
When you're young, like I'm 34, right? So, I started 9 years prior to that. I was like 23 or 24 when I got into the car business, and then it's a very lucrative industry. And so we worked hard and built something. And then when you have money and you can do whatever you want, you never need to look at a label. You just have that freedom. And then it just kind of fairly rapidly gets all, taken away. That's a really tough pill to swallow. And then living your life for 2.5 years where you don't have the mental headspace anymore. I still don't have it, I like to garden as well too. I turned into a green thumb in the pandemic, and I went a little crazy with it last year. Going to scale back at 5 garden boxes with 45 minutes to water your garden. Most people have a hard time going for a walk for that long, and I'm trudging through 7 watering cans just to do the gardens, right? Carrots are good though, by the way. So, you get humbled by that and the stress of, thankfully I had the support of my family and a little bit from the bank too. I'm sure they love that. But, you go through and you have to try to just trust the process and believe in yourself and then just go out there and kind of make it happen. So it definitely humbled me. I carry myself in a very, very different way and a different light, more sensitive to what I say and how I say those things. And I think it put me back on a neutral ground. So, everything happens for a reason. I'm glad it happened. I think that needed to happen to me. I think I'm a better person for it. And, I'm more inept to be able to, open up that kind of, that array, when you're sitting with somebody, to be able to listen more and relate a lot more to people, especially, everybody's going through their level of, financial issue, anxiety, mental health. You don't see it because people hide it, right? But it's there for everybody. I've got my own. Everybody has it. You have it. People watching this show have it. So that's been able to kind of maybe give me a little bit more of I don't know the word, not a skill set, but maybe a little bit more of an ability to be open and sympathize a little bit more with others who are going through the same thing.
I love it, man. Something that I'm curious about is, I dig in this space quite a bit, especially on the weekend. I've talked on the show a few times about the addiction facilities, big part of my life.
Yeah.
Very deep conversations there. I think it's made me a better person. So something that I didn't ask very often myself, because it wasn't asked to me when I was young. I was raised as a man, quote unquote. Feelings aren't, they're more like, you don't talk about them. You kind of stuff them down a little bit. It was kind of the environment that I was raised in, probably a little less so than my dad and a little less so than his dad. But as I started to develop and evolve as a human being, I realized how potent our feelings are, and they can really spearhead a lot of our decision-making abilities, how we feel about ourselves. So knowing that you went through such a challenging time, that fall from grace, I think that's a great way to describe it, being humbled by it. Like, how does that make you feel about yourself now, that knowing that you've gone through that, your own version of hell, kind of, and you came out the other side? And I don't know how you see yourself currently, but I have certainly seen somebody that has made, quite a success of their comeback story, if you will. So how does that make you feel, knowing that you went through this difficult thing and you found a way to still make it work?
Yeah, I feel capable and confident. I had a client of mine say, I spoke to a lot of people who've come across you, a lot of people that know you, and they all say the same thing. They all say that you're very confident, and you exude that confidence, and you're very sure of yourself. And I think that going through that experience, I was a bit like that before, and 9 years in a tough industry like I did, to be able to survive through that with having no experience can equate to some of that as well too. But those, the experience over the last year and have been the fact that you get humbled like I got humbled. It goes a long way to understanding and looking at life from a bit of a different lens, and wanting to go out there and help others, because we know what we offer. We know our capabilities of what we can bring to the table for a small and medium-sized business. So that's what I'm excited about, is to be able to help others and allow them to have a lifestyle that they had in their mind, and then be able to watch them realize that that's the reward at the end of the day.
Yeah, agreed. So in other words, because we hear this in the personal development space all the time, not that that's what this show is, but it comes up. Entrepreneurs do hard things. It's part of personal development. So in other words, you don't look at yourself in the morning every day with like a Post-it note on your mirror and saying, I am confident, I am confident. It's not affirmations so much. Not that there's anything wrong with affirmations. They're not really for me. But your confidence came from experience, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
From going through these hard things, starting again, finding a new why, continuing to drive. A human slowly starts to realize how capable they are. And that is what you're saying you have found from going through that phase of suck.
I call it smacking your face against the wall.
That'll wake you up.
Just how many times I'm surprised my nose is as long as it is. Just it should be flat. but you learn from your mistakes, but it's the willingness to want to get up and try again, like
Yeah.
if you're a business owner and you tried some marketing and it didn't work, try another one, try a different one, keep trying, don't stop trying. And the when you find success and you find a drive inside you that allows you to be consistent. It's consistency. A lot of people have some of that drive. They do it for a little bit, same with working out. How many people have come across where, they find the drive for a bit and then the drive goes away. But if you want your goals, if you want your dreams and you want them to realize, people don't have limits. Human beings don't have a ceiling. The ones that separate themselves from the other ones are the ones that worked harder for it. That's really what it boils down to at the end of the day. So if you want something, you just got to put your head down and get out there and then go make it happen every single day. Even when it's tough, even when you had, a really bad day, things didn't go your way. That's water off a duck's back, right? Move on. Tomorrow's a new day. Wipe it clean, purge it out of your mind and move on. And then eventually, if you're giving it your all every single day, you'll most likely always attain what you want.
Love it, man. That was a mic drop right there. Okay. Another question I could probably talk about all day.
You can talk about any question all day.
Love those questions, man. I love them. I love learning about people. They're so interesting. What's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
I wish they understood branding better than they do, because if they did, everyone would sign up. It's
Can
a
you explain
no-brainer.
it to us?
Yeah, look, for those who don't know, our publications, they're not just magazines. Obviously, there's a lot of digital components, but we offer top of mind awareness. It's not a lead generating type of activity, but people need to know who you are, and then they need to have a reason to choose you. Those are the two main elements that come along with advertising. And branding, I ask people all the time now when I sit down, because the answer is always different. There's a lot of misconceptions and misnomers, but branding is a feeling. One word, it's a feeling. How do people feel about your brand? And you're paying to have your message put out in the world the way you want it and how you want to be perceived. Eventually, over time, that will gain trust and influence with people. They will know you. They will refer you better. They will patronize your business. How you figure out where all that comes from, if you find the answer, let me know, because it's really difficult to track. But we do it in one of the best ways possible. When you have a billboard or a bus bench or you send out direct mail, that has one message, and that message says, buy from me. It's the most annoying message to consumers, and it's the least effective branding strategy. And on the other side of that spectrum is what we call pure sponsorship. So for anybody who's ever sponsored a Run for the Cure, a hockey team, something in their community, that type of thing, that's got the same message, but it just comes from a different place. It's, I'm invested, I'm interested, I care about you. Oh, by the way, if you need me, come buy from me. So very well, the most welcoming message to consumers, and it's the most effective branding strategy. And we do it, I believe, in my professional opinion, better than anybody else, because we put you in front of a very wealthy, affluent community. We put a family on the front cover. We talk about that family in a full-on article, and all the businesses that are in there are there to support the community members so they can have this offline social media platform. They get to fill out all the information. How cool is that? I just got an article for mine. Somebody wrote in 5 tips on how you can save on your grocery bill. Like, how cool is that, man? I just got an article for a U19 boys junior Colts hockey. I'm a big hockey fan, obviously. So I slapped that in my March edition in the sports section. The pictures look awesome. All the kids got their hands up in the air. They're wearing the gold medals. It's hyper local content. That's what people want. They want to know what's going on in their community, in our calendar of events section, pet section. It's one of the best ways you can get your brand out there. And we love what we do. Put good faith out to these areas and help them connect together as well. Mm-hmm. We know the digital age and what it did, and then what COVID did. Like, people don't look at each other in the eye anymore when you walk down your sidewalk. You know the dog's name, you don't know their name, right? You wouldn't trust your 16-year-old daughter to go babysit the person who lives 7 houses down the road. And so we're trying to repair that. We're trying to make the world a better place by connecting that community together. The community that statistically, for the business owners who are listening, make up the bulk of the expenditure in the marketplace. So you're strategically stacking the deck in your favor, and they have a bunch of different needs. And so eventually they're going to need your product. Who should they pick? And we love getting out there and helping our small and medium sized businesses grow. It's really, really rewarding.
I love it. A couple of takeaways. Branding is a feeling. So many businesses out there think I'm going to create the brand and that's how it's going to be interpreted out in the world. A major ingredient that they're missing is that the thing, the entity that is interpreting that is a human, and they're interpreting it through their own lens. So really, if you have 1,000 people in your audience, you technically have 1,000 different brands. And if you're leaving it up to hope, really spoiling your customer, I hope I give them great customer service, and I hope they go out there and talk about me. We know that if you're trying to execute hard goals, which growing a business is, hope is not a great strategy. So to control that narrative by putting out what you said rather than buy from me, it's this kind of give, ask mentality. You're giving them something first. You're increasing the quality of their life. I love that you said that. And in an age where you would think we are more connected now than we've ever been, because we have access to people and slews of information, much of it useless, but we have so much information on pretty much anybody. You'd think we'd be so much more grounded together like a team. But that connection seems to be in some cases very superficial. So what you're out there doing is trying to get humans to connect through building goodwill and giving to each other and all those good positive feelings, when the world could always use more of that. I love it. I think it was explained extremely well.
I think me and you are taking it a little bit further than that too. I mean, we host our networking events and spotlight a new business in our city, Barrie and Midhurst, and try to bring, other local businesses and help connect them together. And this month we're connecting our own clients together, and a unique opportunity to meet other like-minded business owners who understand it, get it, and then allow them to be their own salespeople and that word of mouth to connect them. So yeah, I love it, man. I wouldn't do anything else. And you asked me earlier, a misnomer. I got one for you. A lot of misnomer out there is that my logo is my brand, and it's not. It's your icon. Branding's a feeling.
It is. There's this great video out there that talks about trying to help people solve what branding is by telling them what it's not. It's not your visual. It's not your logo. It's not your sweatshirt. It's how people feel about you. So the way your admin answers the phone, the timeline it takes for you to, offer information to close a deal, delivery, all of that stuff. Like when somebody walks away from you as a human or as a business, they're walking away with a feeling. Did I feel good about that? Did I not? Is this somebody that I would refer? Did I feel spoiled? Like, did they take care of my needs? Did they listen to me? Am I excited about them? I tell this to people all the time. Apple is probably one of the most expensive digital products on the planet. I am a frugal person. Been wearing the same $5 Walmart sandals, which all my friends bitch at me about for like 10 years, even in the winter. And I go out of my way to make sure I buy that product because they excite me. I know about the people who created it. Their biographies are out there. I feel like I have a greater connection with them because they made themselves accessible to me through their marketing. They have great products. If you don't have a great product, it's going to be a tough go. But their marketing is exceptional. So I pay a high premium compared to other products because I'm a fan, like you are to the Leafs, even though the Leafs aren't doing great. Sorry, I said the name, my mistake. Like you are to your favorite sports team. Sorry.
That's all right. You're a sandal guy to me now. I'm gonna chirp you. I'm not gonna let that live you down.
I'm a socks and sandals all day. These things are like torn apart.
Oh my God. I can't believe you do that. I don't know how people do that.
Yeah, I go to the gym in them and everything. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Awkward. I feel awkward just sitting here now.
Sorry. Tell our listeners how they can find out more about you. Phone number, business, whatever it is, how can they connect with Sean Preston?
There's a couple of different ways they can connect. They can find us on the Good Neighbor podcast with Jeff and Sean. Just by Googling that, they can reach me on my cell phone. It's 705-796-3209. And they can also find us on our socials, Ardagh Bluffs Living, Instagram and Facebook, and an email, spreston@bestversionmedia.com.
Beautiful. So I leave this question out. It's probably my favorite question because, I love that deep stuff. I like to preface it a little bit so people don't think like, what is this guy talking about? I look at business. I look at, being your friend, a business partner, being a son, being a business owner, all of these things as categories in the one big arena, which is life. That's the game that I'm playing. We were talking about gaming before. I like to gamify life. I like to see myself, grow like a character in a video game or a story, but the arena that I'm in is life. And I would argue that every human being would agree with that. So that seed was planted at a young age. I'm very grateful for it. A mentor of mine who has guided me much throughout the years. She said, you have no idea when your time is up. So it would be prudent of you to think about what has been my past impact, recognize that in many cases it wasn't great. What is your impact going to be today? And what would you like to be your impact going forward? There's a lot that you can't control. Life is challenging, but if you don't narrow that target to think about who do I want to be? What do I want to stand for? What do I want to do and create? It's going to be a very hard road to get there if you don't at least plan it out. What kind of impact do I want to have? Who do I want to be? So I like to ask our guests, what kind of impact do you want to have? Family, community, business, whichever one you pick on our world. What's your impact, man?
I would like to leave behind that opportunity that someone said yes to me across the table at Williams Cafe, and 10 years down the line, put their kid through school, bought them a house, had the life that they wanted to have, realized their dreams, bought a cottage, travel, working on the business, not in the business. And then passing that down to, their children, or selling it and sailing off into the sunset. Putting the goodwill out there. We get, another misnomer for you. We're salespeople. Oh man, it sucks sometimes. You're like, no, man, you have no idea. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to take your money. I'm here to literally help you reach your goals. And for anybody who has sat down with any of us, that we ask a bunch of questions before we even start, because we need to know where you're going. So from a marketing perspective, we can help you. And I'd like to just have a good reputation, just a conversation. If we don't do business together, I'm going to teach you something. You'll learn more. You'll be more effective at running your business because of that. And I'm probably going to connect you to some people, right? I want to be known as the connector of people, and just leaving a good trail for others to follow, that it's all goodwill and good faith. And I think, I think that good karma will hopefully eventually one day come back to me, where people might come over and say, hey, I trust you. Can you help me? And that branding that I put forth and showed my clients how to do it, I'm going to show it to them. Eventually, that's the end goal. And I'm here to help.
Damn. Well said. Putting that goodwill out there, one seed at a time. I love it, man. You and I have had so many conversations, hours and hours. This could go on for ages. We will have many more conversations. Very happy to have you on the show. Wouldn't rather co-host with anybody else. So you'll be seeing our faces a lot. And I hope you guys really enjoy. This was a deep dive into our co-host on the show, Mr. Sean Preston. And it was a pleasure, man. I'm very much looking forward to working together over the future. It's going to be a blast.
The pleasure is all mine. And you know how I feel about you. This guy's quickly working his way into my wedding party. We hang out all the time. This is going to be one of the podcasts that we'll keep it a little bit more professional. We'll probably make a couple of other ones. They'll be a little bit more casual and have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're looking to do. Come on the show. Let's have some fun. Let's have some good conversation. Let's give you some exposure, the exposure you need to help you grow your business. Work should be fun, right?
That's it.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. It was a blast.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.